Hey, everybody. I'm so glad that you're joining us today. Father Bruce John Hamilton here and Father Richard Conlon, my assistant here at Corpus Christi. So happy and pleased to welcome to the Corpus Christi show my coach, basketball coach, Ken Shields of the UVic Vikings, and very broad renown and fame throughout his entire basketball career. So these were really formational years in my life. And I'm just so happy that Ken's agreed to do this. I'm really looking forward to the interview. So welcome aboard, Ken. So glad to have you on.
Thanks, BJ. It's a pleasure.
Yep. So I'll start with a prayer and then we'll dive right into it. All right. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Father, we thank you for the blessing of this day, and we ask that you be with us in this interview. Help us to get to know Ken and help us to be good instruments of yours, and the lessons we learn from today will help many people to pursue excellence in their lives. And we place all of this trustingly in your hands, in the name of Jesus, your Son. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. So I would just like to have you, Ken, tell our viewers a little bit about yourself. It's a long and illustrious life, but kind of give us some key points about your life and career.
Well, I think I was born in northern Alberta, and then we moved to southern Alberta, and I just played hockey. I was a fanatic kid, like prairie kids, taking your skates to the school, going directly to the outdoor rink and skating till supper time and going back after and skating till dark, till way into the night sometimes. And then we moved up to what is now Haida Gwaii. It was then called the Queen Charlotte Islands, and there was no ice. So I was like having withdrawal symptoms, but I ended up playing basketball in the Native community because basketball was a really popular sport and still is there. And that's how I got into basketball. My first two coaches were Native Indigenous guys, and I moved to Prince Rupert and found my way onto the high school team. After my first year, I was the manager of the B team. And I ended up going out to try out just to play with the good guys until I got cut. And one day I looked around the room and I went, oh my gosh, I have a shot here. I think I might have been charged with physical offenses, but I ended up making the team. And there was still is, like, I'll never forget going to look at that list and when the coach posted it and my name was there. I had never dreamed I'd be able to play for that team. So then we ended up 2 years later winning a BC championship against open schools, and we only had 300 students in our school total, boys and girls, and we beat teams that had 2,500 students. And our coach was a real driver. We conditioned. I would sometimes come home and just go eat and go straight to bed. And but we were fit and we defended really well. We were tough. So those were the lessons. The major lessons that I learned was preparation, being as fit as possible, because that's something you can control. And also the defensive end of the court is you can have more impact immediately than on offense, because on offense you need more skill because you have the ball. And also we had a tough, scrappy group of guys and fiercely competitive. And so those were the lessons that I learned in high school that I carried forward into university. And then in university, I ended up playing I had 2 different coaches in high school and 4 more coaches at university, different coaches. And I played all the positions. So every position, I started on teams in every position of the played in basketball. So I saw the game from all the perspectives of being a guard or a forward and center, and so that, although it wasn't that fun, that wasn't as much fun as it would have been if I played one position. It gave me a great background to be a coach. And I learned in my second year of university that the one thing that I did love was playing basketball more than any other subject. And so I thought, well, I'll take what I can take to contribute to a background in coaching, because there was no place to go to study coaching. So I switched into phys ed and ended up getting my master's, and coached the UBC women's team after I finished playing. I played at Mount Royal College, University of Calgary, and then UBC, and enjoyed all three experiences, and was lucky during my master's, when my eligibility was finished, to been asked to coach the women's team. I'd never coached, and my old high school coach went back to school at UBC, and so we coached the team together. And it was a fantastic basketball experience. The women were so fiercely competitive and wanted to do well, and were so happy that we treated them as athletes, not as women. And we ended up winning the national championship.
Wow.
For senior A women, and there were no university championships at that time. And 5 of the women made the national team. So if you had 5 players on your team that made the national team, and that's a tremendous accomplishment for those players. And we're still really close. We have reunions, and everybody is the same, turns into the same people that they were as athletes. And it's just, well, you know what it's like when you're around teammates, right?
Yeah, I do.
So then I coached at Laurentian University, and then ended up coaching at University of Victoria, and then 5 different countries. So it's been, you have to be lucky to have a career in something that you're passionate about, because nothing of any consequence really happens without passion involved somewhere. In whether, it doesn't matter, it's an academic discipline, a scientific discipline, the research people have to have a passion for their subject and want to pursue the highest standards of performance in that subject. Doesn't matter whether it's arts or music or whatever. The passion drives the performance.
Yeah, what I find so interesting when you talk about the women's team is that it's, I guess some people would look at you from a certain angle and say you were so forward thinking. And I know Ken Shields enough to know that Ken was just coaching these players before him, and like they instinctively understood you were just treating them as human beings, and you probably drove them as hard as you drove us, and that they probably loved it. Right?
Actually, it was one of the, from a basketball standpoint, it was one of, well, that experience solidified in my mind what I wanted to do. Yeah. It confirmed that I wanted to pursue a career in coaching.
Yeah, and one of the things I find so interesting is I look at it from an overarching point of view, like the big picture, as you well know, we've had these interesting discussions in the past. And here you are doing your thing, and your passion is driving you. And I hear about you at Laurentian when I was just a kid in Cape Real, which is 20 miles north of Sudbury, for those who don't know geography of Northern Ontario. And I wanted to go to Laurentian because, Ken's fame was getting to be well known. And then Ken went to Victoria. And that when I got out of grade 13, I don't know if you remember, you probably remember this because you have a pretty darn good memory. I called you, I think, and I says to you, Ken, I want to come to Victoria. And he says, no, BJ, don't come to Victoria. You're not going to play. We're on the verge of a national championship. You remember that?
Yes, I do remember that. I remember precisely because I didn't want you to come make that trip all the way out and then, be sitting on the bench and, not enjoying yourself. Whereas you could go to another school and actually get more playing time and enjoy yourself more. It would have been a huge challenge to come to Victoria and play on our team at that time, make our team, coming out of a small high school in Caperville.
Yeah. So there's no coddling here, everybody. There's no coddling. There's total honesty. And it's one of the great lessons that I've learned in life. So I went to University of Saskatchewan where I played with, I think, I don't want to put words in your mouth on this one, but Ken's probably one of the greatest athletes he ever trained. And that was Guy Vitry. So I had the privilege of being trained by Guy for a year. And Guy was relentless. I mean, and I played a lot. And then Guy left that position. Then I did go to Victoria. And I just threw all the eggs in one basket. And I thought like Ken Shields as a young kid, trying out in the team and wondering, am I going to make, the team? I didn't know. I just worked my heart out.
Well, you did, and you became an accomplished player as a result. You put in the time, you put in the disciplined effort, and I think that you improved and you were able to play at a pretty high level. And then I suggested that you go into the priesthood.
That's right. Now for our listeners, he's laughing because we used to argue about religion all the time. I miss those arguments, Ken. Good arguments, like good, parry and thrust. And he had a Protestant minister come out of one of his basketball teams, and now he's got a Catholic priest. So Ken's in the middle, and we're duking it out over him.
Yes, I remember so well. One time BJ came from the where you were studying to become a priest, and came home for Christmas, and we picked him up on a trip to Seattle, driving down. I never told the players. I just pulled off and arranged for BJ to be at this drop spot. He comes walking out from behind these trees, and all the boys see, oh gosh, there's BJ. Everybody cheers, and he gets in the van and he comes down, and he came on the trip with us. And of course, we had our usual fun. Me suggesting, BJ, why don't you give this a serious look at becoming a televangelist opposed to a priest? I mean, you may get to drive a big flashy car and wear a all white suit and put a little flair into your delivery, but you'll get the message out to millions more people rather than your little parish. And you may make quite a bit of money. And some of that money will probably stick to your fingers. So, and of course he was having nothing to do. It was funny. We had good times.
What do you expect, the way you drove me into the ground with all that hard work and honesty stuff?
And now he has his own television show.
There you go.
He's moving forward, right? He's got the podcast. He doesn't have 1,500 people in his building watching it, his production, but it's a start.
That's okay.
Ken, question for you. What's like the one thing that's you think most about when you think of BJ? Is there one word that comes to mind, or maybe an event that you think defines him quite well and in his character that could help our parishioners, all of our people at Corpus Christi to understand the man, Father Hamilton? What comes to mind, Ken?
Well, I also always saw BJ as a disciplined person, even as a young man. He was a thinker, and honest person, and so I thought that whatever career aspect that he decided to pursue, that he would do well. So it's no surprise to me that he has done well in the discipline that he's in.
Still looking for the big payout though, Ken.
You gotta broaden your audience.
That's right, broaden my audience, yeah.
They say for the priesthood, Ken, that the reward is out of this world. That's how good it is. So,
Well, that's great. That's what I mean. Isn't that what life's all about? Trying to pursue something that where you feel really, really good about what you're doing. Yeah.
Ken, I got a question for you.
If you love it, I mean, you can be good at it.
Yeah. One question I have for you, Ken, is like your ability to ignite the passion of someone, and your ability to coach someone where you're able to maximize their potential. For people out there that want to, whether it's like a parent with their child, what's your advice for those people that really want to like help maximize the potential of another person out there? What have you learned from your years of coaching?
Well, I think that's a very good question, because you can't impose your passion on somebody else. If you try to force your passion on someone, it's usually rejected. I mean, people have to find their own passion. And I don't believe, you can have, you could be, what's your motivation? What motivates you? The word motivation is a derivative of two words, motive and action. So you have to have a motive for your action. And if you don't have passion for what you want to do, you can't achieve a high level of performance no matter what you're in. So, but the coach can't create that passion necessarily in another person, but you can create an environment where you need to be passionate in order to be successful in that environment. And so around our team, when I recruited athletes, I would explain that if you come to UVic, the expectation is that you will bring your A-level effort to every practice. And you become a Viking, and you name of our team, and that means that when you walk on the basketball court, no matter whether you're representing us or you're not, you're just representing yourself, you play with passion, and you play with the very best. You bring your best mental and physical effort on a daily basis. And when you have veteran players who bring that, then if they don't bring it and you're preaching it to the young are going to look at the veteran and say, what are you talking about? Because those are the guys who have been with you. And if they're not buying what you're selling, why should we? So you're not, the veterans have to talk the walk and walk the walk, and be good role models. And that helps the youngster ignite the same type of passion, the same type of commitment. And so the environment that you're in has to be totally supportive of that high level of pursuit of competition at the highest level of trying to maximize your potential. And it can be extremely rewarding if you do pursue that. Even, it doesn't matter if you make the national team,
Mhm.
The experience of doing that with a group of people is a very rewarding experience, and
Mhm.
becoming a part of that. And I think I've said this to BJ before. What brings about the highest level of motivation? What's the highest who are the people who have the highest level of motivation in the world?
Oh, terrorists.
Yeah, BJ's been to this school, right? So the terrorists are willing to give their life for the cause. Causal motivation is the most powerful motivation there is. So if you build around your pursuit a cause, if your pursuit becomes a cause, people will endure tremendous suffering to pursue a viable and a cause they believe in.
Mhm.
And so teams that are successful are no different. If you have a cause of pursuing the highest level of performance you have, and that becomes the mantra of your team, now you have a chance.
Yeah.
Everybody has a chance to get on side. But the person at the head of it has to lead that and lead by example and show people that you care about them as people, not just as athletes to get a medal or a win, but you care about them becoming good citizens, becoming trustworthy. Trust is a huge component of being on a successful team.
Mhm.
Trusting the coach trusting the players when they go on the floor. And so these are life lessons for the athletes, and they carry these experiences with them. They know what made them successful. They knew that they didn't achieve success without hard work, without putting in tremendous hard work and energy and effort, and having everybody pulling on the same chain and trying to do their part. Um, so I think these are really important lessons that people can learn from well-directed sport.
It's good. Yeah, like that creating the environment. So it's both like the cause, so your purpose. So if you communicate that clearly to the men. So if you're coming to UVic, our goal is to win a national championship, and that demands that you're going to bring your A level to every practice, and you're going to receive the support from the staff to do such a thing. So it almost creates an environment in which only those who are so passionate about achieving that goal are going to want to be a part of the program. So I find that clear expectations right off from the start, it attracts certain types of people, which is why Father Hamilton wanted to go to UVic, because it seemed as though he had the clarity of what the whole purpose was, and he knew that it was going to be kind of the perfect environment for his passion to really be directed towards something noble and something worth pursuing. So that's something I find, like today, a lot of people, a lot of youth, they don't have a cause, and so they're just left kind of spinning and just wasting time because there's no purpose upon which their daily actions are directed towards, which is why sports can be such a huge blessing for youth, because there's always practices toward games, and you kind of get in the habit of intentionally working towards some common goal, whether by yourself, like for me in golf, or as part of a team if you're part of a basketball thing. So that's where I find sports is so important for youth in order to actually have that cause that you're working toward.
The cause has to be achieving your best and achieving the best for your group. And you may find this strange, but we never ever talked about winning. We never ever talked about winning a national championship. Each team is different. Each team may or may not be able to win a national championship. It doesn't matter. But what matters is that you pursue the best possible course of action to follow. You strive to build your skills, to build your knowledge, to build your understanding of what you're trying to accomplish in being your best and having the team become their best. And then if you do that, the winning and losing takes care of itself. So if you have the right quality of people, athletes and disciplined people, and you do that and you are relentless about it, you have a chance to excel. And but if you focus on winning, then and your goal is to just win games, then play poor teams.
Yeah.
So we never played, in any of our non-conference games, we did not want to play poor teams. Any of the games that are outside the conference, I wanted them to be unbelievably challenging for our players, so that if our players made a mistake, they got punished.
You would never accept a down-dumbing performance. Never. If a team was down here and we were up here and we came down to their level, you would be furious.
Yes.
Because that was the danger. That's the danger, really, in life as well. I would say that if you down-dumb your performance, rather than I'm not saying, humiliate somebody, but you've got to be willing to play your best and not slack off and be a slouch. Right. And the other team is not there to really compete.
So, but the goal is when you walk on the court, you bring your A game.
Yeah.
You don't bring your B or C game. You don't bring your B or C level of effort.
So I don't know, you probably remember this too, because your memory is like that of an elephant. So the proverbial elephant, I will say. You told me, and I didn't realize this. Of course, I made the team and I went there in my second year. I think I was the 12th man, which, I was on the bench. And for me, it was really overcoming the fact that I had played so much at Saskatchewan. And then I went to UVic, and I mean, they were really on the verge, and we did win the national championship that year. And you said to me, I'm 61, and this is one of those things you never forget. BJ, I never thought you would persevere, but you did. Remember that, Ken?
Yeah, I do. I do remember that very well, because I actually discouraged you again from coming because I didn't want, I was still concerned because we had such a powerful group that whether you would be able to physically do it. You seemed extremely committed, and so okay. This is what you're coming into. So you want to come, fill your boots, but you got to make the team. And I didn't promise you a spot on the team.
No, I wasn't.
You had to come out and fight his way onto the team. Because I didn't guarantee people spots on the team. You had to earn that.
Yeah, what was really formational for me, just like on the natural human level, is that very thing, is that nothing was guaranteed. Fight and struggle for everything you obtained. And I think that's such a crucial lesson in life, especially for I don't think this is stereotyping the kids today, because there are kids who work really hard, but I think generally speaking, our society really kind of has lowered its expectations of kids and giving them the keys to success and personal excellence in their life. Could you give us some of your, you sort of named them throughout the discussion we've had, but it's kind of put them in a few points, best sort of life practices. Because I mean, a coach deals with so many different people in their life. You've dealt with lots of women and lots of men, young students. You've coached so many camps. You have some basic life, kind of distill them, best practices.
Well, I think developing trusting relationships. You have to build trusting relationships with your athletes. So you're trying to increase the level of competency of the athletes so that you can trust them on the court. What are the components of trust? And that's not for you, BJ.
Components of trust, I would say vulnerability, communication.
How about if you communicate lies?
That wouldn't work too well.
It's all kinds of communication.
Truth telling.
Hmm?
Honesty, for sure. Vulnerability, communication, honesty. There you go. There's the.
Well, communication is not a component of trust, because just because you're communicating doesn't mean you're inspiring trust in the other person. It could be, so integrity and honesty, obviously, that's a big component of trust. So I use the analogy of, you have a doctor. If your doctor finished 25th in the class of 26, how much trust do you think that engenders? If your doctor is not very good,
Low.
trust you when you go see him. Are you could automatically trust what he says?
I guess proficiency at your skill is important.
Competence. If someone is competent at the task that you're trying to get done and they're honest, now you have a chance to form a trusting relationship. So in athletics, you're trying to increase the competence level of the athlete such that they have more confidence going on to the court, which you only earn. You can't, confidence doesn't come from me tapping you on the shoulder and saying, go and do your best. It comes from many repetitions of successful execution. That's how you build confidence, and that's how you build competence at the same time. You can't have confidence without competence, and you can't have trusting relationships if you're working with someone and they're not very good, and do you trust the work that they're doing? Probably not. So they could be very honest and have high integrity, but they're not very good at what they do. So in order for you to trust their total trust, you have to trust their competence at what their task is, but communication is the glue to trust. So once you have a trusting relationship established, if let's say you and BJ trust each other implicitly, but all of a sudden BJ stops communicating with you, and you can't get him to answer questions, and he turns his back on you, he might leave the room, and you're going to go, what's wrong? Because the communication has ceased or has dribbled away. And so you're going to wonder, what the heck is going on? Why is this happening? And you're wondering, doesn't he trust me? And so communication allows trust level to stay there and be solidified. So they're all really important, and nothing's more important in life than creating trusting relationships, I think. That's a long way around, BJ, answering your question. That's a critical thing. And I think that finding something you're good at and trying to become excellent at it. If you're good at it and you like doing it, if you develop a passion for it, you can probably pursue high levels of performance in that area. And everybody's different. Everybody has different likes and interests. So I think it's most important that they find something that they're good at, that they enjoy, and pursue it, and pursue it to the max. If you love it, so that you have a better chance of being successful at it. And the trusting relationships, that covers all my issues about, I don't want to deal with people I can't trust. I have no interest whatsoever in a relationship with someone I can't trust. And I think would be pretty universal. So those are the two main issues, I think.
Pretty all encompassing.
Yeah.
What would you consider your greatest accomplishment in life, Ken? You've got many accomplishments under your belt. Can you pinpoint something?
No, I don't. The accomplishments, awards that you win. I mean, I'm very flattered to have won some very, very prestigious awards and recognition. But those accomplishments came about as a result of the performance of my players. Had my players not performed at a high level, I wouldn't have been afforded those. Those, you guys brought about my notoriety, not me. It was your performance that brought it about. Yes, we were a team, but had you not achieved what you achieved and been as dedicated as you were, I would never have received the recognition that I've received. So it's come at the hands of you guys, of the players who played for me. That's the most important accomplishment that I've made, that I've developed trusting, long-lasting friendships with you guys, which I value more than any of the winning or national championships. So, I mean, we should have won national championships. We had a very good team.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing in sport is guaranteed. There's no guarantees that because you work hard and you do this and you do that you're going to win a national championship. I mean, there's 40 schools and 40 universities all trying to do the same thing. So, I mean, some of them are very talented. Some of them have all kinds of financing and support systems in place for their athletes. So all you can do is your very, very best, and the winning and losing looks after itself.
I always thought that you owed me all your recognition.
I thought it was the other way around.
I love the way you respond to that, but I'm going to say this: the big picture
to the priesthood, and that
the big picture again, Ken. Yeah, if I hadn't have gone to Victoria because you were there, I've told you this many times before. One of my great stories is I wasn't doing the church thing, and Eli says to me one day, Eli was a fellow Siberian. He says to me, BJ, let's go to church. I said, all right, we'll go to church. And that was the moment there. So it was really, the big picture is you can, break it down all you want, but there I was in Victoria. All I wanted to do is play basketball. School was a means to an end. You know what it's like. And that's how it all sort of came together. So,
well, I mean, you were blessed that you had the relationship with Eli, and he was practices religion and went to mass and to church, and you that somehow sparked a profound interest in you in pursuing that discipline.
Yeah.
I don't think if you think back, did I try to discourage you?
I don't think so. Well, in your sort of offhanded, but you would put thoughts into my head, but never tried to discourage me. No.
No, I mean, if you chose that
Yeah.
and you wanted to pursue it with your very utmost of your being, then that's what you should do.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's you, it's not me. And thank God you did that.
I think that's a great life lesson for parents, really. It's not about what they want their kids to do, but about helping their kids find out what they are meant to do.
Right. And I had no idea what I wanted to do. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. In high school, I think it's a mistake often to make an early decision on a career. You know, if you're in if you think, oh, I want to be in a narrow discipline, I want to be an accountant. Well, if you don't love math, you don't love numbers, boy, that's not a very good combination. So you take some time, let yourself find out what you can be passionate about, what you love doing, what's going to be enjoyable for you and fulfilling, and then take a run at that. And that's something that it may take you 1 degree. Didn't take me a degree. I learned during my first degree what I wanted to do. But it's far more important that you make a decision based on good rationale, good reasoning, your research, all these things, and something that you think you can create a love for. I think that's the most important thing. And the parents you can't push people into it. A youngster, it's not right for the parents to push them into something.
Yeah, no, one of the things I'm most grateful for, I think, in life is that I got to pursue my 2 greatest passions. Like golf was my greatest passion, and then at the age of 22, it changed and became all the God stuff. And so I feel so grateful that my greatest passion right now, I get to spend literally all of my time focusing on it. So it's yeah, deeply grateful, because there's a lot of people out there that aren't able to pursue their passions
Right.
as a result of various things. So yeah, it's a huge blessing to be able to have the passion and then receive the sport from different coaches and people to really maximize your potential in that. So
Right. Well, I mean, and had you chosen to go become a professional golfer, I mean, if you want a challenging career, one.
yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of people out there who are extremely talented golfers, but it's like anything else. I mean, there's lots of hockey players, there's lots of basketball players, there's lots of football players, but only the top percentage can have a successful career in sport, you know, as a professional. The chances of that happening are, unless you're extremely gifted, are slim and none.
Ken, for those who are struggling with passion, do you have any advice to ignite their passion for the things that are worth pursuing in life?
Well, I mean, having said what I said about passion, I think the best thing you can do to develop passion is to be with a group of people who are pursuing the same discipline with the same passion. And so that you can see, holy cow, I can do this, and I can be good at it, and I can have a fulfilling career pursuing something that I'm good at and that I love doing, and that hopefully is helping people, helping others. I think there's all kinds of different people. Some people are very inward focused. They want to make a lot of money for themselves. They want to, and pursuing their passion to increase their income. And everybody's different. Some people want to save the earth, and boy, how important is that right now? I mean, I think people just have to seek out their own, and then find some people who model the passion.
Yeah.
To be role models. And I think that's one thing about coaching is if you are demanding these things from your athletes, there have to be things that you believe in implicit. Being your best, giving your best effort, and so when I learned those, as I said, from my parents, and not in to pursue sport, but to do my jobs at home and get them done properly, and and how important that was to do things right. And so in leading, if you're a leader, you have to do the right thing, but you also, in managing, you have to do things right. And in leading, you have to achieve through others and doing the right thing and modeling the pursuit of the right thing rather than the expedient thing is not easy. You have to believe really seriously in what you're doing and have a commitment, because you have to model that to those who you're working with. And then you have to build a trusting relationship and build your level of competence and their level of competence. And so I think that these things are fairly, in my mind, they're just common sense.
Yeah.
They're like getting vaccinated. Why in heck would you not get vaccinated? I mean, I have total respect for freedom of choice and these things, but there are some things where you're getting vaccinated protects other people as well as yourself. Think about it. Put your mask on, because you're protecting other people, not you. I mean, the best thing I think you can do for young people is help them become thinkers where they can make their own rational decisions based on fact, based on science, based on logic. And so they have more chance of doing the right thing. And
Ken, the big things that I'm taking away from this conversation with you are the importance of creating a good environment of trusting relationships in which people can bring their passion into a place that's able to be maximized, kind of that potential that they have, the initial passion they realize for something they want to do in life. Due to a good team of support, you're able to actually create that environment so that people can achieve their best in that God-given passion that they've been given. So it's a good reminder. Yeah, the essential stuff is easy to forget, the fundamentals. So I think you're a man of the fundamentals, Ken. So it's good lesson. Father Hamilton, just to conclude, to wrap things up, do you want to share maybe a takeaway that you've learned from Ken today and then finish us off?
Oh, probably you actually made your way into some of my sermons, Ken, which I've told you about before. And probably one of the most important things, because these things are really important, you know, what a coach passes on to his or her players, or a parent certainly to their kids. I mean, that's the foundational relationship in this world, I think. Is I guess two. Number one is think critically. What you said, teach your children to think critically, you know, and to never give up. I mean, that try to pursue what you have a passion for, and you just don't give up until the game's over. And I even said that this weekend in my sermon, when the game's over, when the game's over. And until then, you have to keep, it's not as if you don't accept defeat, but you have to learn from your defeat. Otherwise, it just loops back on you and makes you feel rotten. Got to learn from it, get back up and try again, work again. What can I do to, you know, keep going forward? That's been a foundational lesson for me in my life. I'd like to think it would have applied just if I hadn't become a priest. It certainly has helped me a great deal as a priest. You just don't give up until the game is over. You got to keep working hard. So, and I, you know, I owe a lot to my parents, and, you know, in all honesty, I owe a lot to you in the program for that. You know, because that's what I learned being around you and the men that I played with. We just had a real desire, like you said, to play our absolute best. And to, as a result of that, we were blessed enough to win all those championships. So BC Hall of Fame.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ken, for the time. It's always good to learn life lessons from a coach that's had a lot of success in obviously maximizing the potential and the passion of so many athletes throughout the year. So we're blessed to have this time with you, Ken, and we appreciate your honesty and the encouragement for us to keep going forward. And things, obviously, Father Hamilton and I are very, very passionate about what we do here at Corpus Christi. So yeah, we're thankful for the time together with you.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Ken.